Before I get you more on the story, I quickly want to bring in some of our guests and analysts on this show. Sushant Sareen is a very well-respected Pakistan watcher. He's a senior fellow at the Observer Research Foundation. He joins us on the show. Dr. Tara Kartha is former director of National Security Council Secretariat. Major General Sanjay Mestin was India's defense attaché in Afghanistan, watches Pakistan very closely. Sushant Sareen, let me begin by asking you first, what do you make of the scale, the size, the coordination and the intensity of the strikes that have been carried out across 12 cities? So Quetta, Nushki, Kalat, Mustung, Dalbadrin, Kharan, Gwadar, Pasni, Tump, Buldera, Dhadar. It's almost the expanse of Baluchistan that's been hit, Sushant.
Look, Gaurav, it indicates a couple of things. One, the sheer audacity of the Baloch freedom fighters to take the war to different corners of Balochistan. Because if you look at the stretch, if you look at the kind of footprint they have shown, they've attacked something like a dozen cities. And these are not small, outlying cities on the outskirts of big cities. These are main cities, cities like Quetta, cities like H, cities like Panjgur, Mastung. All of these are very big cities. So they've shown the kind of reach they have. They've shown their firepower. They've shown the fact that they are able to coordinate a complex attack like this and leave the Pakistanis stunned, absolutely stunned. So much so that the Pakistani media, which is the New People's Daily or Pravda, uh, has been shell shocked, and Punjabi journalists in Pakistan have been trying to give various figures of casualties of the Baloch, little, but not revealing anything of the kind of casualties that the Baloch have inflicted on the Punjabis.
Yes.
So, one is the sheer magnitude of the attack, the fact that they have the firepower, the fact that and what was most remarkable was not just that they have women fighters, women who have been fighting, these gun battles with the Pakistanis, but the fact that when they have gone out in the public has shown overwhelming support for these people. They have cheered them on, which tells which way the wind is blowing. So, if I was to make a parallel very quickly, Gaurav, if I
Okay.
was to make a parallel, I'll go back maybe 50 years to the Tet Offensive in Vietnam,
Vietnam, yeah.
when they attacked multiple places on the same day, coordinated it. The Baloch have done it a year and a half back in 2024, and they've done it again.
Dr. Tara Kartha, what's remarkable, if you look at some of these videos that the Baloch fighters themselves have put out in public domain, so they're fighting this on ground, they're also simultaneously fighting the information warfare, where they're giving out the information first. The Pakistan army is desperately trying to catch up, but there are a large number of women fighters. In one instance, there's a woman whose younger sister was abducted, raped and murdered. That woman has picked up the weapon and is a part of these forces that are taking on the Pakistani security forces. But Pakistan is a nuclear weapons state. Why is the nuclear weapons state unable to handle the situation? Multiple cities, all the way from Quetta down to Gwadar and Pasni.
Gaurav, this has been going on since the time Pakistan was born.
Yes.
Baloch have been resisting them. And when you say how come a nuclear state can't take it on, the sheer stupidity, it's unbelievable the way they handle this Balochistan. And on top of all this, once all this dies down, they will blame India, forgetting you've been killing them for all these decades. I mean, how stupid are you? And this story, unfortunately, I was just watching, I'm just a little upset because I was watching a couple of other channels abroad who are luckily at least covering this, which they didn't earlier. This is being covered across. But they are all talking of, India-Pakistan rivalry. This is not about India-Pakistan. This is about a people who have been literally wiped out over the years and they are now fighting back. Why are you surprised?
No, I'm actually very impressed in the manner in which they are fighting, launching multiple audacious attacks across cities, General Mestin, and the forces that are fighting. So you have the Majid Brigade, you have the Fatah Squad, you have the Special Tactical Operations Squad. All of this would indicate that this is not some ragtag bunch of jihadis or radicals who have weapons. These forces are very well organized and very systematically. Which force will go and target Pakistan Army? Which force will target the police? Which force will target administration? Apparently, they've taken a deputy commissioner hostage. They've taken control of several towns. General Mestin.
Yeah, Gaurav, good evening. I think the intent of Baluchis is very, very clear. And of course, led by the BLA and the Majid Brigade and of course the Fatah squads. Intent is very clear. They want to achieve their independence or liberation of Baluchistan. Their aim is very clear. And as Tara also brought out, since partition of India, these people have been just fighting for independence. I think Baluchistan was the only province which remained independent, I think, for about a year plus, or rather 1.5 years. So they are never going to be aligned with Pakistan, and the Pakistan army has been very brutal. They have been abducting them. I remember when I was in Afghanistan, I heard stories where these Baluchis were taken in the Pakistani aircraft or helicopters and dropped from the top on rocky areas, so that it sends a great message to the people that this is what the capabilities of the Pakistan army is. So therefore, the intent is very clear. Why they are motivated is because they have been suppressed over a period of time by the Pakistan army so badly. They have been brutally abducted, murdered, raped, plundered, everything. And that is why the women are also there. So the resolve is there. And I think the attacks have been so well coordinated. That means they have trained themselves very well. They have armed themselves very well. And another thing to be taken credit is, see, whatever it is, Asim Munir and Trump, the way they have shook hands. Right now, in the Persian Gulf, we have the American forces deployed there.
Yes.
So this again shows the boldness of the Baloch Liberation Army to conduct such well coordinated attacks.
Because this is very clear. This is the time, sir. They also know that they'll get international headlines. The kind of audacious attack that has just been carried out. And Sushant, let me bring you in. In Nushki, there are reports of very heavy firing and explosion at the central jail. Baloch freedom fighters have taken control of several cities. In Kalat, the main gate of the paramilitary garrison, that was targeted. A VBIED, or for the benefit of some of our viewers, vehicle-borne improvised explosive device. So this vehicle with explosives, it went and rammed into the main gate, then followed by several vehicles where people were firing indiscriminately at security forces. They've entered. We've got some of those videos. So from Quetta to Gwadar to Pasni to Kalat, simultaneous attack. Look at the level of professionalism, because Sushant, what are the forces? Majid Brigade, Fatah Squad, Special Tactical Operations Squad. Does this indicate the kind of professionalism of this force, their planning and execution of those plans, sir?
So, Gaurav, I see that they have been steadily upping their game, not only in terms of the kind of firepower, not only in terms of the training, the tactics which they have used in these attacks, but I think also in the way they have fought on the information domain. The way that the Pakistanis, despite all the efforts of the Punjabi establishment in Pakistan, trying to clamp down on the news, the fact that the public was supporting the freedom fighters, and the freedom fighters themselves have been, uploading images of those attacks, tells you that they took the narrative away from the Punjabi state of Pakistan. Secondly, and very importantly, the sheer magnitude of the attack. Gaurav, normally, when any terror attack is planned, it's a complex attack. And if you have the kind of security clampdown that you have in a place like Balochistan, where it's difficult for people to breathe also, there is no independent reporting which takes place. The media is dead out there. In a place like that, to be able to launch such an attack means that you have now perfected the art of keeping these operations below the radar screen of the Pakistani state, and you have been able to coordinate these attacks and launch such a complex attack. Even a single attack is a major one.
So, Dr. Tara Kartha, what can you tell us about the Baloch fighters? The fact that they have several women, they have various organs like the Majid squad, which is seen as one of their most elite fighters. You have the Fateh squad, some who are actually seen as those fighters, like the special forces. They can go and carry out any operation. The special tactical operations squad. It's almost like a very well organized system. Who funds them? How do they operate? What more do we know? Because the Pakistan army has been after them, as you very rightly pointed out. There have been 5 waves of freedom struggle, 5 waves put down. In one case, Pervez Musharraf used attack gunships against them.
Yeah. He said, I'll come at you from the air. There's nowhere to run, there's nowhere to hide. But they managed, didn't they? And now they've shown it again. The interesting part in this, by the way, if I can just bring this out, this occurs just as the Pakistan army is launching its operations in the Tira Valley. That is
Yes.
just about 100 odd kilometers to the north. The Pakistan army operations are starting against the TTP. And here this happens. So I'm beginning to believe that there is some strategic cooperation between these hugely diverse groups. The TTP is entirely Islamic, blah, blah, all the rest of it.
Yeah.
These people are entirely nationalist, but there is this has hit the Pakistani operation sideways. Number two, the fact is, as you said, the fantastic organization that these people have shown in terms of how they've organized this. They've got these people, and the thing is, everybody is supporting them.
Yes.
I would take my last supper and guarantee that every single one of those fighters have a history of abuse from the Pakistan army. What more motivation could you possibly want? And number three, if I can just add, the point is, which is what we should be looking at. These guys are going to look to blame India. You would know what happened after Jafar Express attack, which the BLA did. These
Big
guys
point.
will try and say that we've done something.
Very big point. Very, very big point. After Jafar Express was hijacked and after Pakistani soldiers were killed and 25 Pakistani soldiers were killed, Pakistan's radical Islamist army chief Asim Munir blamed India and in Pahalgam singled out 26 Hindus and killed 26 people in India. Now, this is how evil the Pakistan army is. When they bleed within, they blame India. No evidence, no data. He just said it and they carried out the terror attack. Of course, General Mestin, since Dr. Tara Kartha raised it, and Sushant, I'll bring you in just a moment, because Operation Sindoor has been carried out and because Pakistan knows that India will hit back and harder and so hard that he'll have nowhere to run or hide, whether it is killing 100 plus terrorists in their Masjid Subhanallah or Markaz Subhanallah, whatever it was called, in Muridke and Bahawalpur, or 100 plus soldiers in Lipa Valley. Ma'am, I'll come to Tira Valley in just a moment, because the Tira Valley is also a very big story and our viewers must know what's happening in the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province and what is happening in the Baluchistan province. Both very important. But will Pakistan dare to target India again with Operation Sindoor still on?
Gaurav, the likelihood is there. Pakistan, the way things are happening in Bangladesh and the way Pakistan is making inroads in Bangladesh, and more so the elections are there now in mid-February. I feel Pakistan definitely would like to attempt something, despite very well knowing Operation Sindoor 2 is also on and anything can happen. Because these people they are irrational. They just can't apply their mind. What is Asim Muni's statement when he made on 16th April? Basically he wants to divide India. That is what he's trying to do. So what is going to happen if he ventures? I think this time it is going to backfire on Pakistan. Why it will backfire? Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and Balochistan, all the freedom fighters now will be emboldened to take up arms and strike them. And this action itself, despite the US presence in the Persian Gulf and knowing the bonhomie between them, it is great that these people have struck. The timings are important. They have struck early morning when the soldiers, by and large, I would say in military parlance, they are dhila.
Yeah.
And
Pakistan
coordinated
army
attack.
anyways dhila, we've seen it. We just pumped them up too much. We saw both during and beyond Operation Sindoor, sir, as you rightly pointed out. But, since both of you mentioned Tira Valley, This is where Pakistan Army is just planning to launch a massive operation. It's already snowing there, sub-zero temperatures, and people are being forced to leave their homes. Mosques are being used to force people to have these slogans that leave Tira Valley. An operation is about to take place against TTP in KPK. Listen in. The reactions from Tira Valley.
You have to be very clear about what the BLA is right now. It is an insurgent force. Okay, it is not an army in itself. It's an insurgent force which is trying to carry out what you can call the kind of tactics, a war of attrition.
Okay.
They are bleeding the Pakistani state, stretching it in. It's a guerrilla force at the end of the day. So they can go and occupy territory. They can go and push, they can go and occupy some territory for a little while, but they can't hold on to it endlessly. But what they're trying to do is weaken the Pakistani state. And again, today I was seeing a tweet by a former Afghan journalist. He's an Afghan journalist still, but he's based in Canada, who was saying that these are exactly the kind of tactics that the Taliban adopted when they were fighting against the American occupation forces. The kind of war of attrition that they were carrying out, and the attitude of the Pakistani state is no different from what it was of the Americans. Because every American general will tell you that they were winning the war until they lost it. Every Pakistani and their drum beaters in the Pakistani media or the People's Daily or Pravda of Pakistan is telling you that they are actually winning, that the great heroic action by these brutal fellows who have been butchering the Baloch, who have been raping their women, who have been invading, doing home invasions of the Baloch and harassing innocent people, that they are winning. But they're not. Very clearly, the visuals which we saw today, I don't think those visuals are lying.
So, Dr. Tara Kartha, the Pakistan Army has a core in Baluchistan. It has a core strength in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. Is it lacking forces, or does it lack motivation, in your view, to fight in the Northwest Frontier Province and in Baluchistan?
No, they've got numbers in plenty. In fact, that's the whole idea of them providing this whole extension, this umbrella to West Asia, is because they have the largest numbers in terms of troops, in terms of paramilitary, in terms of all that. What it's the sheer. Many of these people are from these areas. How do you think they feel about fighting in their own people in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa? Pashtun, there's a large bunch of Pashtuns within the Pakistan Army. And let me tell you, Gaurav, this is absolute racism. In terms of the Punjabis, they hate the Pashtuns. They see them as something less. It's a kind of a equivalent to calling somebody a terrorist. Ki ye to Pashto hai, he's like that. So that attitude is bad enough. Number two is that it is admittedly a terribly, terribly difficult area to do anything in. And that the Pakistanis should know their history. This is not the place to go fighting. Tira Valley is also the shortest route to Kabul.
Yes.
So that is an area which they are targeting again and again, and it is not working, because the more you target them, the more people go and join TTP. It's as simple as that.
And now are the TTP and the BLA working together, operating together? But then you see, when the adversary presses the self-destruct button, you shouldn't actually interrupt him. You should just sit back, watch and analyze. Sushant Sareen, Dr. Tara Kartha and General Mestin for joining me here on this India Today special broadcast. Many thanks. The situation in Pakistan is very grim, both in Balochistan and in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. This freedom struggle that's going on in different parts of Pakistan, we'll be reporting on it very closely. But that is all I have for you on this special broadcast. Many thanks for watching.